Come sew my very first baby quilt with me. I always have a special blanket for all of my babies when they're born, and this time around I wanted to make my own. So here's the process of a very imperfect baby quilt, but it's very special. I started out by cutting up a bunch of squares and then laying them out and finding what pattern I wanted to go with. I did not measure out what size quilt I wanted. I just used an old baby blanket as the size reference, but all my squares are 4x4. Once you do all the cutting and find out the pattern, the easy part is just sewing the pieces together. So you just sew one by one, right sides together, sew all your rows individually. And once you have all of your rows out, we're gonna sew the rows together. Once again, right sides together. Once you get all the rows sewed together, you just press the back so that it's super flat. You'll very easily see how imperfect this quilt is. It was a learning process. I really wanted to customize it and hand embroider his name to the baby blanket. And that's why I didn't share this quilt until after he was born, because we don't announce our babies' names publicly until after they're born. And so this is for little Jesse, our fourth little baby and our second little boy, and this is just so special. The next step was to lay it flat on cotton batting and use an adhesive spray to spray them together so that they stick and it's not moving around when you sew it. And then you're just going to sew your lines straight down the quilt. I sewed them as straight as I could, but again, this was a learning process. Now you're just going to sew the front of your quilt to whatever backing fabric that you want to use. I used this really soft minky fabric because I really wanted it to be a comfy baby blanket, and I absolutely love how it turned out. And that's pretty much the finished product. Like I said, it's very imperfect, but it is so special. I love that he'll have a keepsake for the rest of his life of a little blankie made by his mama. I would love to go through and make each one of my kids a little blanket like this with their name on it, just so that they can have it. And maybe I can improve on my skills with each blanket. It's so surreal now that he's here and he's cuddled up in this blanket laying on my chest. But this is how it's turned out, and I absolutely love it.